Thank you, Narad. U.S. Ambassador Joseph Mondello and members of the U.S. Diplomatic Corps, Board of Directors, our CEO, Mr. Narad Tawari, our distinguished speakers, Ms. Julie Chung, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of Western Hemisphere at the U.S. State Department, Mr. Basil Kelly, Vice President of Operations of FedEx Express Latin America and Caribbean Division, Dr. Nadir Hajir, Digital Service Leader at Pricewaterhouse, Canada. Good afternoon. On behalf of the newly elected Board of Directors for 2020, I'd like to warmly welcome each of you to our Business Forum event, Business in the New Normal. Let me firstly begin by thanking the members of the Board of Directors of the American Chamber of Commerce of Trinidad and Tobago for the confidence and faith placed in re-electing me as your president for a third year. It is an exciting time for our chamber as we continue to grow and adapt, remaining relevant and responsive to you, our valued members. We truly appreciate your willingness to spend this afternoon with us. In preparing this speech, I revisited some of my previous speeches at various AMCHAM events. It's tempting to say that the coronavirus has propelled us into a world of radical uncertainty where none of the old rules make sense. We would all, I'm sure, like to take comfort in believing that macroeconomic forecasts at the start of 2020 are now out the window, given the impact of a black swan event that has altered the trajectory of governments, economies, and businesses. But if we do so, we would be fooling ourselves. The old fundamental rules do apply, and COVID-19 was not a black swan event. At the end of the financial crisis in 2008, Ian Davis, the worldwide director at McKinsey, said, "It is increasingly clear that the current downturn is fundamentally different from recessions of recent decades. We are experiencing not merely another turn of the business cycle, but a restructuring of the economic order." The question is, what will the normal look like? While no one can say how long the crisis would last, what we find on the other side will not look like the normal of recent years. Bill Gates, numerous scientists, and even former US President Barack Obama have been talking about the need to prepare for a pandemic for decades. So what do I mean by the fundamental rules? Well, one of AMCHAM's T&T core principles is the promotion of the rule of law. Fairness and access to justice are key to developing a conducive business environment, but they are also key to building a resilient and cohesive society. In the old normal, or the new normal, strong adherence to the rule of law is key. And so too are the development and articulation of a vision for both the society we want to create and the role we want our companies to play. Our success as a country cannot be measured simply by GDP growth. Neither can our business's success be measured only by profit. From what I've seen in my more than 2 decades as part of AMCHAM T&T and in my own business, for the most part, the business community has always taken an interest and supported both fence-line communities and the national community. Now, we may need to do a little more and, quite frankly, communicate what we do a little better. This is beyond CSR. It is about building resilient communities and contributing to overall sustainability of the country and hopefully the region. In terms of vision, at our Economic Outlook event in January 2020, which now seems like a lifetime ago, I shared with you what we at AMCHAM T&T envision as a better future for our country. We see a country that will be safe for all our young people to live, work, and grow. We see visionary leaders and good governance. We see a flourishing business community where investors and entrepreneurs work together to create a booming economy that works for all our citizens. We see high levels of social mobility and equality. And that last point is where I want to tie it all together. As a country, we need to do a better job of fixing the systems that inhibit social mobility and perpetuate inequality. We cannot fool ourselves by talking about outliers who emerge successfully from structural inequity and try to hold them up as examples that can be easily replicated. As citizens, we should have a vested interest in making our society better. And as businesses, we should see that if the rule of law is assured for those who are most invisible and on the margins of society, it will be assured for businesses too, making the entire economy more efficient and more attractive. So more specifically, during the past 3 months, we've seen a wave of innovation unleashed by companies, government, nonprofits, and individuals as we quickly tackle COVID-19 challenges. For example, Angostura began producing hand sanitizer for our healthcare workers. CSPC is producing fire-resistant face masks. Engineers at the University of the West Indies are developing ventilators. Supermarkets, food delivery service, and logistics have come up with ways to ensure a safer experience for their customers and employees. None of these tasks has been easy, but individuals and organizations have demonstrated the motivation and behavior mindset needed to research, innovate, and act quickly. So how do we continue to foster and reward this innovation going forward? How do we enhance our innovative capacity to take advantage of global supply chain realignment? This will require a paradigm shift, promoting an environment that stimulates creativity and also creating the right regulatory environment to incentivize investment so that we can expand our markets regionally and internationally. It will also require an acceleration of our country's digital transformation. So let's imagine a digitally enabled Trinidad and Tobago. Over the past 2 months, we've seen signs of a shift in how consumers and businesses behave. Some of these changes are direct, short-term responses to the crisis and will revert to the regular levels once COVID is contained. However, some of these shifts with remote learning, entertainment, and consumption will continue, creating a long-term digital disruption that will generate valuable business opportunities. The COVID-19 situation has ripped off the Band-Aid across the public sector to enable teleworking and remote learning across most households. To support this new normal, gaps need to be closed in ICT availability, affordability, and adoption for a large cross-section in society through public and private sector policies and initiatives. Now, more than ever, there is a need to promote and accelerate the use of alternate technology-based channels for the delivery of government services and enabling an integrated government with a view to improving cost efficiency and service quality. We congratulate the government on accelerating the offerings of e-payments for statutory payments over the past 2 months. We look forward to the implementation of a unique national identification number system, which will allow for the provision of government services in a less disjointed manner and instant verification of information provided by the customer. This is something we've been speaking about for years and was a key recommendation in my AGM speech last year. We encourage the government to recommit Trinidad and Tobago to the Open Government Partnership and to make more data available in manipulable format to allow the private sector to extract economic value from our data. This will only be possible with the appropriate privacy protections supported by data privacy and data transparency laws, including the full proclamation of the Data Protection Act. We also need to urgently address the deficiencies in the education system as it relates to the appropriate use of IT in the teach and learning process, the teaching of teach-related skills specifically, and at the base level, differentiated approaches to teaching to most effectively facilitate learning across the widest group of students. As the energy sector remains the mainstay of the economy and will continue to be in the short to medium term, it is imperative that we address issues around the energy value chain. We also need to transition to renewable energy, leveraging both our natural assets and also the technology and expertise of the multinationals already operating and invested in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to accelerate initiatives around energy efficiency to reduce local wasted consumption. There has never been a better opportunity to address the long-term sustainability of the energy sector. In the current environment, this is the opportunity for a step change in regulations to incentivize production and ease of doing business. We need to have policy measures that will signal to the world that Trinidad and Tobago is open for business and has a competitive and conducive business environment that can continue to attract capital both in the short term and in the long term. This would require government and private sector to work more closely to further develop the export capacity of the energy services sector, in recognition that if our petroleum resources were to ever be depleted, we could still have a vibrant foreign exchange earning energy services sector. My final point is that the integration of environmental, social, and governance risks and opportunities into business strategy will be more important as ever as we build the new normal. While the impact of COVID-19 has resulted in worldwide disruption and lockdown, what has also emerged is a positive impact on the environment. It also poses a unique opportunity to build economies that are more resilient and to engage in sustainable business practices. Protecting the environment is not a luxury, nor is it something we can leave for our children to fix. The cost of COVID-19 can be dwarfed if we do not decisively deal with climate change, which affects the most vulnerable in society. If we do not take action to protect sensitive habitats and species, conserve water, forests, and other natural resources, and lobby for more stringent environmental protection enforcement, our ecosystems will collapse. At AMCHAM T&T, we are cognizant of the role we play in society and believe we need to tackle the problem head-on. Last October, AMCHAM T&T signed an MOU with the UN Office of Disaster Risk Reduction and is the coordinator of the ARISE network in Trinidad and Tobago. Through the work of ARISE, we've been actively seeking to build resilience among the SMEs in Trinidad and Tobago. We are also cognizant that we've just started an active hurricane season, so this year we'll be working on disaster preparedness, BCP, and early warning systems. AMCHAM T&T is also working with Prepare T&T on assessing the probable impact of an earthquake disaster in the country's capital. In these challenging times, the way in which individuals and companies and organizations have leapt into action with a clear sense of priority, urgency, and community gives me hope that there will be light at the end of the tunnel. AMCHAM's vibrant internal culture has allowed us to leverage the current crisis as a catalyst for change in our organization. We remain confident that our ability to be nimble during this time will allow us to continue to be relevant to our members in the years to come. Today, we have a distinguished panel of speakers who will provide key insights and analysis as we navigate the new business normal and its implications on your business, the economy, and the future of our nation. We encourage our government to work with the U.S. Embassy on developing an MOU with regards to the American Tracy Initiative that Julie Chung, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, will be discussing. We believe that through this program, there will be opportunities in innovation, resilience, energy, and digital transformation for our country. In closing, I would like to express my gratitude to our CEO, Narad Tiwari, for his vision and leadership during these unprecedented times. Thank you to the Secretariat at AMCHAM T&T, who worked so tirelessly to build this organization, maintaining contact and communication with our members during these times. We are fortunate to have a very diverse board, rich in experience and expertise. Thank you to my fellow board members. Please know your passion, commitment, and dedication is greatly valued. And to our chairpersons, committee members, sponsors, and members, your generous commitment of time, resources, and expertise have helped sustain this strong and dynamic chamber. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and attention. I'm excited about the possibilities for AMCHAM in the year ahead and look forward to our journey together. Stay safe, connected, and healthy. Thank you.